Welcome to this video, everybody. How you doing? Doug Barry here. I appreciate you being with me. This live video coming out right now. We're going to be addressing some key things, 5 key things. These are the things that most people will do who are the most prepared individuals out there. Before we get into that, though, I really want to encourage you to take seriously these conversations that we're having. We're really ramping up for something important coming up next week. At the time I'm doing this live right now, we've got a 90-minute masterclass, a free webinar, okay, on how to get prepared for November. The Prepare for November webinar, September 4th, 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This is an important, very, very important webinar. We're putting this on because we want to help people get better prepared for what we see happening in our country and in our world as a whole. And of course, as we know, election years are dangerous times for many reasons. All kinds of information is out there right now. Go out to brcoalition.com/November, get signed up for this free webinar. There are a certain number of spaces we can take, and we want to get as many people in there as possible, as soon as possible. So get your place set for you so you can join us next Wednesday, September 4th. Now, again, I said there's a lot of information out there. We're hearing from economists who are saying that things are going to collapse. The housing market's falling apart. The feds are going to do this. The war is increasing, in intensity in Ukraine. Saw a news report this morning that Ukraine is now able to reach further into Russian territory with drone attacks. We see the escalation between Israel and Hezbollah. Iran is, of course, constantly threatening. We've got the China-Taiwan situation. All right, these are the types of things that are going on. And that doesn't even address the other wars and battles and problems that are going on in various places of the world. Venezuela, for example, still struggling with their government, if you know what I mean. Madeira's election, the whole 9 yards of mess that's out there in these areas. Now, all this information is out there, it's floating around, and it's getting some people pretty unnerved, pretty concerned, and I understand that. In fact, the Venezuelan gang situation is escalating. There are several reports that have come out in recent weeks that in the United States, there are at least 1,000 or more gang members from a specific, not even gonna try to venture to pronounce the name, Venezuelan gang, but they've been given orders from their higher ups in Venezuela to start shooting at police officers in America to create more chaos. So these types of things are happening all over the place. You see these stories here and there. Now, there are a lot of people that still go through life living in the golfing and shopping world, as my friend Father Heilman likes to say. They just want to go golfing and shopping, and they don't want to be brought up on any of this information. They don't want to know any of this. They just want to kind of bury their heads in the sand. Nothing wrong with golfing and shopping, by the way, okay? That's not the point. The point is we can't turn away from the reality of the struggles in as much as we need to do something about it to the best of our ability with what we have at our disposal. We can only operate off of what we have. So I want to be clear about this. As we break down these 5 key things, I want you to think about this. This is not about fear. It's not fear tactics. Sometimes comments come in on the videos that we put out saying we're just trying to scare people. That's the last thing we're trying to do. In fact, what we're trying to do with these videos and these webinars, like the one coming up next week about Prepare for November, what we're trying to do with these attempts, these videos, these webinars, is help people not be afraid. And the better prepared we are, the less fear and anxiety we have, spiritually and naturally. We always constantly encourage at BRC, get your prayers in, your daily rosary, form your spiritual life, get to the sacrament of confession, get to Mass. If you're not Catholic and you're watching this, God bless you. Thanks for joining us. Get your prayer life in line with God, though. Get on your knees, get your heart open, get God involved in your life. That's first and foremost. We've got to be looking at this not as defeatist. I see the comment section sometimes comes in on the videos, and I'll read through some of them. And sometimes you get, the people out there, they get a little crazy with some of their words, and not really want to address that. But what I do want to address are those of you out there who might be commenting, I'm older, I live alone, I don't have any money, I can't do this, I can't do that. I guess I just have to die where I am. And what I would say to that is, by the grace of God, remember the words of St. Thomas More, at least the way they're portrayed in the movie Man for All Seasons. We use the wits that God gave us to survive. But if he closes all the doors, then we die like champions. But we are called by God, as St. John Paul II says, to live with an indomitable human spirit. Indomitable. We're not supposed to be defeatists. We're not supposed to lay down, roll over, and just let things walk all over us. Now, there are times when we have to remain silent, be strategic. It's like playing chess sometimes, right? When it comes to dealing with the things in the world. But in general, we need to have that attitude that says, by the grace of God, I do the best I can with what I have at hand, even if it's a roll of duct tape and a paper clip. Honestly, that might be what you need at that moment to accomplish something that God has you do. It might get you to another step, another location, another something. But it's the mindset in here. What we want to do with BRC, with the courses that we offer, the webinar that we're doing next week, Prepare for November, is help people transform the way you think. All right, let's change the way we think in general so that we don't have the attitude of defeatist. We have the attitude of let's solve problems, let's turn to God and then do the best we can. Let's use the common sense that God gave us with the skills and all the other wonderful things and people that God gives us to cooperate with his grace and be engaged in a way that can help achieve certain goals, right? I want to say that because it's difficult to hear. I know there are people out there at all different walks of life struggling with what to do. And so we want to address that. Top 5 things right here. We're going to break them down right now. Top 5 things when it comes to the things that people do that make them the most prepared. Okay, let's get to number 1. First one right here. Very simple. Prepared people, all right, will have a safe location to shelter in place. All right, they spend time fortifying it. All right, in other words, they get it ready. So say, for example, if you live in an area where there are tornadoes, if you've got a cellar or a basement, if you don't have that, you have some other location in the middle of your house that you're going to run to in the middle of a tornado, and you take security measures. You worry about heating, cooling, electricity. Sometimes it's a plan B location. Sometimes it is just the fact that you want to, have at hand some extra food, water, these types of things in that extra location. All right. So having that plan B, having that sheltered position where you've got a few resources there and you're taking care of those, that's number 1. And number 2, what's number 2? What is the second thing that most people who are best prepared do? They have enough food and other supplies like water and such for everyone in their home, everyone that they know they have to take care of. So if you're a father, for example, and you've got several children, you've got a wife, maybe you've got elderly parents that you're taking care of in your home, you're looking at all of that. You're thinking of food, water, medication. Maybe you've got people in your home that need specific medications. You're covering those bases right there. You're paying attention for food, water for an extended period of time. Now, the next question a lot of times people will throw at me at that point is, well, how long is it going to be? How much food should I have? How much water should I have? How much money should I store up? How much gold, silver should I buy? How many this and that? How many bullets should I buy if I'm going to load up on ammunition? The answer is no one knows. Honestly, we don't know. There is something to doing the best you can with what you have and then trusting the rest to God. And there is a certain peace in that really comes knowing that I've done what I can, Lord, the rest I leave to you. God can do amazing things if we just have that deep faith and detachment from us thinking that we have to be the ones to control the situation in the scenario. Okay. Number 3, let's move on. Number 3, most prepared people do these 5 things. This is number 3. They prioritize plenty of clean drinking water. Now, why is drinking water such a big deal? Because everyone in your household is going to need it. And on average, about a gallon of water a day is what we all need in one way, shape, or form. You could go a half gallon to, drinking water specifically, but, a little bit of hand washing. Maybe you've got to clean out a cut. You got to use some water for food. You're going to need at least a gallon a day on average for every person in the home. That's kind of a rule of thumb that most people out there, survivalists across the world will say, roughly a gallon a day. So you're thinking about that in advance, plenty of clean drinking water. Just so you know, medical fact, medically proven, you can go about 3 days without drinking water, and you'll die. That is how important it is to be hydrated. You think about that when you have something rough happens in your life, you're sick or, something traumatic has taken place in your life. Hydration plays a part in helping us recover from even the crisis. You're working out in the yard for an hour on a hot day, and that can take quite the toll. A lot of times people go to the hospital just to get an IV because they need fluids and they need them immediately. Sometimes it's life and death if they get fluids within a certain amount of time. Roughly 3 days without drinking water under pretty much normal circumstances, and you'll die. So having plenty of drinking water on hand for you and those around you, stored up water, and I would always recommend having water filters on hand so that you can get more clean drinking water if you need it. For example, things like the Lifesaver brand, there's Sawyer, there's Katadyn. There are many good ones out there. I like the Lifesaver brand. I really do. I have several of these. It's a redundancy rule for me. 2 is 1, 1 is none. I like 3 or 4. When it comes to certain things like plenty of clean drinking water and the ability to find it, where do you have sources to get it? If you need to go to a water filter, those are important things, very, very critical. Stay well hydrated, helps you think clearer in the middle of a crisis. All right, move on. Number 4, prepared people, when it comes to those who are prepared most and how they survive best, they have basic medical skills and equipment. And what do I mean by basic medical skills? We're not talking about brain surgery. We're not talking about repairing a torn cartilage or anything of that nature. We're talking about the basics of plugging a hole. Could be a laceration from chopping wood. Could be a chainsaw accident. Could be a gunshot. Could be a knife wound. You can't get to an ER. You can't get to an urgent care clinic. Do you know how to plug a hole, plug a wound, put on a pressure bandage, put on a tourniquet? These are pretty simple things. Take a CPR class. That's a good thing to do. Take a CPR class, learn the basics of that, get certified. It helps develop the skills. What it does is help transform the mind. There are people out there, again, who will say, well, I can't do anything. I don't have any skills or this or that. There are oftentimes places where you can take free medical training classes to get the basics down, and then you become an asset in a crisis situation. And you just never know when you may need that. Car accident on the side of the road, you find somebody there, 911 has been called, but before they get there, the person could bleed out. But if you've got an emergency bag, a go bag or something of that nature, medical bag in your car with a tourniquet, and you know how to put on a tourniquet because you went through a Red Cross training class of some sort, you're going to be in better shape and you may save that life. Now, it could be a crisis situation on a much grander scale. Same concept though. So having basic medical skills, and they are able to be developed and trained. Okay, most of our communities will offer them in some way, shape, or form. That's key. All right, number 5, fifth and final of the top 5 things that people do that are most prepared, they are ready to defend. They're ready to defend. Now, what does that mean? Look, in most crisis situations, you will see a breakdown of society on some level. Desperate people will do desperate things when they're pushed, when things get really bad. You take infrastructure of a community, of a society, water, food. You take basic law enforcement has been stretched thin and they can't get to this, that, or the other thing. Think about the George Floyd riots that took place in America, where you had law enforcement even be pushed out of, I think it was the 3rd precinct, if I'm not mistaken, in Minneapolis, and they burned it down. The rioters burned down the precinct and law enforcement had to flee. All this can happen again, and it can happen in a very devastating way. Being ready to defend and protect is a key part of that. Now, right away, people will go right to that mindset of, well, I've got to get guns and ammo and put on body armor. And you know what? That's not a bad thing if someone wants to do that. I'm in favor of someone being well trained appropriately based on the laws of your state and your community so that you can be an asset to your community. I'm in favor of that, following what the laws state. But it doesn't even mean just that. It could be something as simple as having pepper spray close by, knowing where it is, be ready for it, be thinking through the process of being able to hand-to-hand combat with somebody. When I say hand-to-hand combat, I'm talking about someone tries to choke you out. What do? Gouge the eyes, punch the throat, rake the face, kick them in the groin, these types of things. In other words, have an idea what you would do, but don't just talk about it. And don't just watch Rambo movies and think, I've watched a Rambo movie or a latest Jason Statham karate movie, therefore I know how to fight. Sometimes it's important for us to punch a punching bag, to have somebody teach you a little boxing, right? A little basic, how to get the hands up and protect your vitals, your head, your torso, how to have the basics. That's easily attainable. There are people out there that'll put on free self-defense classes. Learn the basic skills of general self-defense. That also means how to secure your home, how to protect your home, how to create deterrence so that bad guys don't even want to enter your home. These are the types of things that we can all learn. There's a lot of good information out there online. We offer a lot of it. When it comes to BR Coalition, we have much of it is just free on our YouTube channel here, or you can check it out with some of the courses that we offer that go much more in depth and greater detail. These are the top 5 things that people will do that helps them be better prepared when it comes to any types of crisis that comes their way. Because ultimately what it does is it transforms the mind so that the mind is thinking more. We solve problems, we think outside the box, we figure this out, we learn how to work with other people, we have basic resources. And if you don't have any money and you have a hard time with the idea of buying some of these things, then start with, as I said before, a roll of duct tape and a paper clip. You'd be surprised how you can MacGyver, if you remember that TV show, you can MacGyver a lot of things with some basic skills and basic things around you. It's a mindset. Transform your mind by the grace of God to be a problem solver, not a defeatist. That's a key thing in being better prepared. Don't forget to go out to brcoalition.com/November. See it on the bottom of the screen. It's also a link you'll find in the description below. Sign up for this free webinar we've got next week. Prepare for November. This is a pretty important thing coming up. We've got to be better prepared for whatever may be coming our way. And again, remember, this is not about fear. This is not about anxiety. This is about a sense of urgency, just as the Blessed Mother in Fatima, as you see her over my left shoulder, in 1917, brought a sense of urgency to those 3 children when she told them, if man does not stop offending God, there will be a second war. Now, you could have easily said, well, she's trying to scare people. No, she was saying, this will come if you don't change your behavior down there on earth. However, I'm with you and I will be here with you. If you reach out for me, I can do so much with the power of the rosary, with the power of other beautiful spiritual preparations like fasting and offering up sacrifices. But it was a message from heaven that said, not fear, not panic, but urgency. And those messages have continued since Fatima. So I encourage you to not look at this with that sense of fear and anxiety, but look at it as a sense of responsibility and urgency, and we can get this done. Share this information with others. Please, let's get the word out to as many people as possible. Between now and September 4th, let's get those seats filled. Let's sign up. Please sign up for that masterclass, and let's get this done. Let's be better prepared for ourselves by the grace of God. Yes, cooperate, but also for those around us. It could be your neighborhood. It could be your community. It could be your parish. All right? But let's do it. Let's get it done because it simply needs to get done. All right. I appreciate you being with me. Share this with others, please. Don't forget to subscribe. And of course, sign up for that masterclass. Go out to brcoalition.com/November. Link is in the description. God bless and strengthen you. Be at peace, pray hard, and prepare best you can. I look forward to seeing you again soon.